Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here tonight with an ongoing D&D 5e campaign titled Beneath the Banner's Shadow. We are coming to you live this evening with session 40. This session is titled Old Wounds. Yeah, this has been an ongoing campaign. We've been playing this for going on 5 years now, as of the latter part of this year, I guess. No, I think it was like September, something like that. Anyways, a long fucking time. But I love these people. I love this game. I love this story, so I'm super excited to have had a story that has gone on this long. I'm very proud of that, and very pleased that we're still getting the chance to kind of put our spin on this story. If the F-bomb that I just dropped was not a clear enough indication, the same warning that I give at the beginning of every single one of my games is that if foul language and mature subject matter are things that bother you, then this is not the channel for you to land on. You have made a bad turn around. So, but if you do happen to like those things, then welcome, kindred spirit. You are amongst like company. Yeah. So, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, say where you might be able to find them on the internet, what they might have going on, and I think then we're going to get started. I think we have 2 other players that will be joining us at some point in the evening, I believe, but who knows? We'll have to just juggle things around as they come up. But we're going to go ahead and pass it around the horn, and we're going to start with Baron.
Hello everyone, I'm Baron. I play Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, places. I also like to come up with my own stuff in my spare time, and that's fun. I play the lovable Masaka Tord, who is ready to come back from once again being downed and needing to be helped by his friends that he would be devastated without.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, if the fighter or the paladin and the barbarian in the group aren't going down at least every other combat, then, I mean, are you really doing it right? Honestly. Yeah, man, I love beating on Masaka. Lots and lots of fun. Mainly just because you're such a good sport about it. No, it's been a lot of fun to, again, just to discover what each of these characters kind of has going on, what brought them to the beginning of our story, and kind of what has happened to them through the course of the story so far. And though we have touched on everybody's character at least a little bit, there's still a lot in store for everybody, so I'm excited. All right. Next up, we have Karen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen, also known as Myth and Gears. I'm so excited to be back at this game. Yay! And I play Ariana, one of the friends that is always constantly, getting torn out of the messes he gets himself into.
Because Ari has absolutely no messes whatsoever. None.
She's a saint.
Mm-hmm. We bring this up on the precipice of entering the elven lands, so keep that in mind, audience. You heard it here first. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Next, we have Steve. Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
You're muted.
You might be muted, or... Nope. Come to think of it, I don't think I heard you before we went live. No? Okay, here we go. Hi, my name's Steve. I play games. I do things. I'm super cool.
I've actually never said any of that before.
Oh, what? Hi, Steve.
So what I was saying was, I'm Steve. I am a mess both in real life and in this game. But glad to be back, and sad that we'll be missing Eli apparently tonight. But life happens. I understand. He's been defeated by the boss monster known as taxes, apparently. So I get that. That's a headache. So we'll kill something for you tonight, Eli, or talk it to death, or talk about hats or something. So one of those things will likely, probably, mostly, maybe happen.
I am certain that nothing bad would happen to his character. But yeah, that really that sucks that he's having to deal with that. But hopefully he's able to overcome it, and we'll see him next month. With any luck, Josh should be here after just a little while. But I think there's no further ados. I think we're going to get started. Excellent. Did I cover all the bases? I think I covered all the bases. Session 40, Old Wounds, Beneath the Banner Shadow, D&D 5e. I'm not even touching the whole D&D thing. Sorry. There's no reason. You can find my opinion elsewhere on it.
The whole thing transpired between this game and the last game. It's like, let's just...
Yeah, exactly. We'll be running it the same way I've been running it. My way.
We only mostly use the rules anyway. Mostly.
Yeah. Ish. It's
like as they
D&D-ish.
come up, when they apply.
Exactly. See? Y'all get it. Warning about the language and subject matter. As always, thank you so much to Rachel Ayers. She is the artist who designed the majority of the house shields that you'll see throughout the game. She was an absolute pleasure to work with. I highly recommend looking her up if you need this kind of work done. As well as Augusto, who did the design work for the character portraits that you should be able to see here on the overlay. They were commissioned by Steve, and Augusto did an incredible job. So thank you to both of you for making the game all that much more beautiful. Because with my face right in the middle, your god doesn't need it. All right. So, without any further ado, I think we're ready. The injuries we receive eventually turn to scars. Reminders of deeds done or lessons learned. Scars are the badges of a pain we no longer feel, at least on the surface. Some scars, however, run too deep to ever truly heal. These badges serve as a warning, to ward ourselves away from repeating the same blunder or transgression. And the scars that bloom out of the wounds given to us by another can sometimes fester worse than any other. We joined the 5 of you in the northern reaches of the kingdom, on the precipice of the Umberwood, in the city of Warrenton, right in the heart of the portion of the kingdom that has been ravaged as of late by the Bloodmouth Plague. It moved with the speed of a wildfire, undoubtedly, in your minds at least, driven by the black magic of a witch. The Witch of Pestilence. A woman by the name of Dragessa now lies dead in the city of Warrenton, as do the literal mounds of bodies that she had used her black magic to reanimate. So where we see the five of you immediately on the heels of this victory, the city is quiet and still once more. There's a solid 10, 15 seconds of total silence. And then in unison, the city erupts with crows and ravens taking flight all at once. They fly up into the sky in a strange, undulating formation. They disappear into the sky. Eddard now possesses the house shield that belonged to the House of Warrenton. And you stand on the steps of the keep here in the city. What's happening? What are you doing? This confused my players on Wednesday too. They didn't know that was the part where they say something. Maybe it's my voice.
Tord is sitting. So we're on the steps of like. Tord is in a. He's very sluggish. Kind of cradling his shield arm, kind of flexing the fingers. He's got a dazed look as he kind of looks out at the kind of just disturbing scene of like an unchoreographed dance as they all fell to the ground. He has this faraway look, you know. He's just kind of a head in a bubble. Sword not even in its scabbard, just kind of laying beside him on the steps. Shield kind of the same.
Ariana is, at this point, I think she'd be over top of the Witch of Pestilence. Making sure, number one, that yes, she is dead. And then number two, to rifle through and see if there's anything else of note in her possession that maybe will be a clue to why, if there's like a secret plan behind this. This is not the first witch that we've encountered, and so maybe there could be something there, some clue about what's happening. So she's looking through the body and trying very hard not to look at all the decayed bodies that are now lying, hopefully motionless, in the courtyard.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where like after a constant kind of motion or attention, the lack of it now kind of makes you feel like you're still feeling or experiencing that sensation. So you still keep thinking that you're seeing something moving out of the corner of your eye, but every time that you turn, it's, you know, nothing more than maybe a rat, or, you know, nothing at all, and the bodies have not moved. But it's certainly unnerving. Searching through the Witch of Pestilence's person, you find a ring. That kind of stands out to you. What would be? You also find a what would be a good thing for this? You find a lock of hair that is braided. Oh, gotta juggle people around. So yeah.
Color.
Black. Very, very, very black. Dark, dark, dark. Okay. Everybody hang tight. There we go. And now we just have to grab the city now again is kind of like eerily quiet, almost like unplanned silence on a live stream.
So I think I'll save us from the silence. Dane, rather exhausted. In the last like 15 seconds of everything, there was a lot of magic going off. And so I think, as he has used his patron ability to heal Tord. And so there's this cloud of rust-colored, metallic and bloodish flakes sort of floating in the breeze near him as he sits onto the steps next to Tord, watching Ari as she rifles the person of the witch and snap her neck or stab her or curb stomp her or all of the above, whatever it is that I think this might have been it ended up being a little more personal than most of our encounters, but so are you there, Tord? I mean, I know you're there, but
Tord visibly kind of like refocuses, his ear perks. You kind of see him like glance over to you. He smirks. Gosh, I got hit pretty hard again.
Yeah.
I got hit a lot.
I think it's just part of what we do now. Getting hit a lot. Physically, emotionally.
Truthfully, I'm very fortunate to have the friends that I do, or I would have gotten hit a lot less, but I would have died.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's weird, that sort of in-between moment.
I feel like in a way we've become comfortable. We're strong. We're capable. We've done great things. But somehow I fear greater things are yet to come.
No, I don't know that I would call it comfortable. More confident than we used to be, perhaps. Uh, I mean, in all honesty, I wasn't even that confident this time. But I mean, this is like a entire city of dead. Like, you've got to be. I would think, and he kind of looks towards Eddard for confirmation of this, but you've got to be a pretty powerful magic user to, you know,
Control this many vessels.
Yeah. And control them while she was fighting. Huh. Well, I suppose as long as all of those birds that just took off don't all have bloodmouth plague and are rapidly spreading it to every other place of population, we've done some good. Right? We have the shield where on our way to question mark?
We are going beyond the wall.
Well, that part I
question mark for
know.
me. Oh, okay.
Oh, we are
Oh.
level 12. Yeah.
So
Oh.
what ended up happening to the other two people that were here in Warrenton? We never found them. Okay.
I don't know if we
Not as of yet.
looked.
We started to go look. We started running towards the sound of them, and then there
Yeah.
was like this, city full of undead and a
Army of
witch,
dead
and,
came after us. Yeah.
enough of them that they're like pushing
Love
down a
that movie.
portcullis.
That's Army of Darkness. But
Yeah, I heard we got sick again. But seems like you're okay. So I guess I'm okay too.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
I think we healed you.
No, I think I still have bloodmouth plague, and I'm pretty sure Eder still has it too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Pretty sure.
Why haven't we taken care of this yet?
Well, they say once you catch it the first time, it's easier to catch it the next time. That's what they say, I think. That's why Eddard caught it again.
We haven't taken care of it because it's been like 10 seconds.
Yeah, literally,
since-
like the all the zombies
Oh,
just
yeah.
collapsed.
I died.
That's right. That's right. So, well, Dane will stand up and offer to stand toward to his feet. There's still some other knight and I guess damsel in distress. I don't think we really have much time to sit and take in the scenery. So, if you wanted to get up and get hit a few more times.
He'll take your hand. I would imagine you're kind of like going to pull him up or something like that. And one of these days, you're not going to be there to bring me back. I haven't forgotten that. So I won't be reckless.
Well, you're in luck. I'm still here today. And then he'll like cough and that little spittle of blood will come out.
You feeling all right? Looking kind of sick. Don't cough on me. I think you got some on me. You. I'll use 5 points of lay on hands to cure you. If it's a non-magical disease, that is. I think it's just disease.
Yeah, you've cured it from Eddard at least once before.
So unless this is a new improved version.
Which means Dane is screwed. No.
It's okay.
So it's built up a tolerance to my lay on hands. Damn it. It's
You actually go to try to heal this, and you can tell that like the disease, while it has started to kind of take a little bit of effect, that the disease isn't lingering, it isn't staying in Dane's system toward. So, you know, as you kind of like start to pull some of the power from your lay on hands into his body, you realize that he's actually okay on that front. So I don't know if Dane is still down hit points or not. If he is, he'll get 5 hit points back instead of curing the disease, because you're not actually diseased any longer. Neither one of you.
Yeah. I don't know how I do it. You're good.
Oh. Lucky for me. I guess not too lucky for them. I look back at like the pile of corpses that came through the portcullis. But maybe it won't spread as much if she's dead. Maybe.
I don't know. I hope.
You know what's funny? Well, not funny, but I guess disgusting. As much grief as she's caused or had a hand in, you know, if we were the church, I think we'd string her up and light a fire underneath of her, turn her into one of those witch lights, sort of put her out there for the world to see what it means to be punished for using magic. But, you know, even after everything we've been through, everything she's done, what's the purpose in something like that?
Dane, I can't sit here and try and make sense of delusion, corruption. I can't even begin to fathom what profane thoughts flowed through her head to justify what she was doing is okay. I'm not going to.
Well, no, that part I get to a point. Right. I'm not saying I agree with it by any means, but I get it. I get that power is tempting, right? Like, we all have it, every single one of us in one way or another. For the most part, if we really wanted to misuse what we're capable of, we could. You know, we don't know where she came from, what she was. But no, what I meant was the church, right? Remember after the ovens or before the ovens, or when we lost Ansel? And they were stringing the witches up and they lit her on fire. I guess there's atrocities on both sides of it, right? Whatever. That's nothing new. As long as we're not immediately dying, right? Ari's done taking the dead lady's stuff. Kind of smile at her. Eddar's got the shield. that just leaves us two would-be shield seekers. They're gonna be pretty pissed that you have the shield, by the way.
Yeah. Eddard kind of takes his cloak off. He had it wrapped around his mouth the whole time since like the first time he had contracted blood mouth while we were walking into town. He's got like caked up dried blood all over his mouth, and he just kind of wipes it away with his cloak. Why do you think they'll be upset? Do you think they were here looking for it?
Yes.
Well, I figured they wouldn't stay much longer after finding her mother dead.
I don't know. Even more reason to stay, I guess.
Maybe they made out.
Not with the screaming we heard.
No? You think we should go after them?
Well, I don't really want to leave anybody here, just in case.
I guess you're right.
I mean, in fairness, undead peasants are one thing. Undead knights, if you recall, are entirely another thing.
So I don't think they'd fare very well. Not just the two of them. I agree. We should look for them. Eddard kind of straps the shield to his back and puts it under his cloak.
So I believe we have to go through the doors that we're kind of pressed up against and move towards where we heard them screaming, right?
Yeah, you're on the front steps of the entranceway into the keep. So you know that they're in this building behind these doors somewhere. Because you had come out of the windows of the cathedral of this building and then basically made your way around back to the front before everything had kind of ceased. So yeah, you kind of the entire time. I guess I probably should have added that into the description. The silence of the city is still being interrupted every 30 seconds or so by the magic mouth that is above the door that is still shouting thief, thief, thief over and over again, loud enough to echo quite a distance through the city. Pushing on the doors, you realize that they are locked.
I don't suppose any of you should rightfully have the shield, and we could just convince it that that's the case and go on about our business. No? Okay. I just kind of like look, waiting for Eddard to do something because, Eddard.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I had anything in my arsenal, but it doesn't look like it.
What if you just told it who you were? I mean, introduce yourself. Could it hurt?
Are we? I'm confused. What are we concerned about right now?
Well, it's a little bit loud, and I'm really getting tired of it saying the same thing over and over again. It's like a broken record, except I don't even know what that is. But it's like this elven thing,
It's like music comes in a squirrel turd instead of an owl pellet. And
Eddard says, "What they have then?"
Spin it. You put it on a thing and it spins.
I think the real issue is that whatever the spell is that's yelling about this, the shield being stolen, is also locked all the doors.
Right. So if we need to get in, I mean, what do you do when the door is locked? You knock and you say who you are, and hopefully they let you in.
We could try that, and if not, we could always toward the door down.
Tord huffs his chest triumphantly.
It's not going to open the door for me. Like it's not going to recognize me. I mean, Eddard, you're the lord here, maybe. And you lived here, maybe.
Eddard takes the shield back off his back and approaches the. So the magic mouth is like on the roof or something. It's just kind of like an alarm system type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the moment that you picked up the shield, there were two magic mouths that went off. One was inside the room with you, where you took the shield from. The other was above the front door of this keep, kind of, where above the decorative arch would be, kind of in the stone above it. It's just this stone mouth that's just kind of articulating the word thief over and over again at full volume.
Nice. Okay, Eddard takes the shield off his back, and he approaches the front gate. He says, I am no thief. I am Eddard Bainton of this town, Warrenton, and the rightful heir to the shield. And I would like to roll a persuasion check.
Yeah, absolutely.
$24.
Fantastic. Let me see something real fast. Look in this here book. Okay, so I think it's usually 10 plus the spell level that kind of thing works against. So yeah, okay. You make this proclamation kind of on the front steps of this keep, Eddard. And the moment that you finish, the magic mouth falls silent, and the visage of this stone mouth fades back into the normal decorative facade of the arch above this door.
Sometimes it's just a proper etiquette you need.
Eddard tries the door.
It is unlocked.
Woohoo!
So that spell was an amazing spell that I stumbled across called Guards and Wards that I have never seen before. And yeah, the moment that I read it, I was like, that's got to go on the shield whenever they steal the shield. So I was super duper happy whenever you guys were all gung-ho about the shield, just ran up and tore it right off the wall. That made me very happy.
And I'm sure the others of the party probably had a better idea.
Nah.
No? Okay. I'm glad it wasn't just me then.
Y'all didn't even get to see some of the parts of the spell. Like, it fills the halls with like fog that you can't see through. Like every intersection that you come to, you have to roll, and like you head a random direction at any time that there's a cross.
We bailed out of the windows when that fog started rolling in.
You're like, a locked door? No way. Let's go. I was like, oh, okay. No, it was perfect.
Last time we had a locked door, it was an oven.
I mean, if we need to return to classics, we can, I guess.
We play this game a lot like a video game where it's like there's a clear path, but the fastest way is actually if you jump out the window and stumble down the hill and kill two guys down there, and that's the boss. You actually skip the whole thing.
Did you seriously try to pass off the way that you guys have been playing this game as the fastest way?
Yeah, we're speedrunning.
No, hold on a second. He did say like a video
we're
game.
skipping. We're skipping.
We're doing sequence breaks. Like we're at the hard part right now. And
we're doing all the side quests.
Right, we're doing all the side quests.
Exactly.
Couple sessions down the road, we're gonna get to this part, and all the NPCs are gonna die really fast, and we'll be like, "Wow, maybe we should have came here like 5 levels ago."
There you go. Like, oh, this thing? Psh, Like, this is a magic item that I'd want? Please. Maybe like 5 levels ago. No, this is glorious. We may be max level before the campaign is finished. Maybe. But we'll see.
Our
Max
characters
level
just
or
implode.
total party kill. Everyone will be
Cast
dead.
it on another party.
Okay, so you open the front doors of the keep and begin to tread familiar ground. Because, as you recall, the first place you headed whenever you first arrived at the keep was the royal apartments. So again, your feet fall over familiar ground as you make your way back that direction now. The fog that was filling these hallways is now starting to dissipate on its own. The intersections are no longer confusing, and there is no longer any magically locked doors between you and there. But there are a bunch of bodies. You saw several bodies on your way here the first time. Victims of the Bloodmouth Plague who had been house servants, guards who had, fallen, leaned themselves against the wall, sat down, what have you. Several different places where they had been stacked, even. But your second time through here, none of these bodies is in the same place. Most of them have congregated closer to either the cathedral where you had come from or the royal apartments. So as you're kind of moving towards the royal apartments, you're starting to have to not merely step over a body or two here or there. You're actually starting to have to like climb over a few. And eventually you get to the door that had been shut but is now broken. The latch on the door not being able to hold against the swell of animated corpses that had pressed against it. And inside you find a scene that is not great. There's a lot of these corpses that are laid about this room, many of them having met what you can only guess was the work of Sir Merrick's sword. Limbs have been hewn, torsos have been split asunder. There's blood on every surface just about in this room. And you find Sir Merrick with signs of early bloodmouth already taking place. The corners of his mouth, from the corners of his eyes. But he has taken his own life. You can see a part of the bed curtains, a satin rope that he put about his own neck, and hung himself by the edge of the bed. In the bed, laid next to the corpse of her mother, is Lady Reba. She has several open wounds on her arms and hands. She has been divorced from her head. Cleanly, it looks like. Your guess is likewise the work of the sword of Sir Merrick. Situated on the pillow above her corpse is her head. And she, too, shows early signs of bloodmouth. It is not a pleasant scene to come across, but that is, unfortunately, what you discover in the royal apartments.
guess they didn't fare so well.
I think Ari just silently looks towards Eddard. And then, well, what now, Eddard?
I think all he really does is probably comes across the bedside and covers the body with the sheet and kneels down and says a small prayer and gets up and kind of turns back to the rest of the party. And I think his thought is they just ended up like everybody else, and we're not going to be able to bury everyone here. Like, we have to get back on the road and get out of here. Maybe with some time, this place will be something again, but not at this time.
I mean, we can at least bury them, right? Like,
Tord will go over and like undo the rope around the guy's neck and like put him down so he's not.
yeah, it's just 2 graves. We don't have time for all of them. I know, but I mean, it doesn't seem right just to leave them, right? And her mom, I mean, she didn't leave the people. That's why she is, well,
All right, 3 graves.
all right.
Eddard will take another sheet and lay it on the ground. And I think he will pick up the body and the head and wrap it in the sheet so that everything's kind of together and nobody has to look at it anymore. And he will get the smallest of the bunch.
Are there any continued lineage that I know of hers?
I don't think so.
I think we
I
did
think
some history rolling a couple sessions ago.
I think Lady Reba was an only child, and I think we had already discovered that her father had passed already prior to all of this. I think so. Yeah, you're pretty sure that this was probably the end of the what was her last name? Krawahar?
Yeah.
Yeah. The end of the Krawahar line.
All right. Yeah, so I'd like, does she have a signet ring or equivalent thereof?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So I'm gonna take that just so that can be turned over to somebody at some point, right? And then I'm gonna go to like the servants like shed out back and grab a shovel and like I'm not gonna go try and find like an appropriate graveyard, but I imagine with this being the royal apartments, there's probably a nice like yard lawn outside of it, like a garden to walk in with flowers and stuff, although they're going to be pretty crap at the moment.
Yeah, it's probably pretty wild and overgrown by now. But
yeah, so I'll go find a spot near perhaps like a duck pond or something like that, and I will start to dig 3 graves.
I think as you're doing that, Dane, at some point You hear a familiar voice. That's hard work.
I've done harder things today.
It's one thing to give of yourself if it's the calluses on your hands or the days to come that your shoulders and your back may hurt, but that's not exactly the hard work that I was speaking of.
Oh, you mean killing witches where the entire time I'm staring at them, all I can see is my little sister and what she could have become? Or do you mean realizing this is an entire city full of dead people that no one was around to help? Or the one person who was still just ended up dying? Or the realization that most knights' lives end without the fulfillment of their duty?
But
He
they
didn't.
don't, Dane. His sworn duty was to protect her.
Tried. I get that.
He may have failed. Her life came to an end, but he protected her. He
did.
stood there with his own life at risk. So, in a way, he fulfilled his purpose.
I'm not angry at him. I'm not woeful. I'm sure that he would have liked to have sat in a chair with a warm drink next to him, talking to some young child about how he used to protect their mother and telling them tales of knights, gallantry, and exaggerated epics that he was involved in. You see, I used to think that every knight wanted to die in a battlefield. Go out glorious, sword in hand, enemy at your feet. But I think a real hero's end is when you die surrounded by those people that you loved and loved you, knowing that you did everything you could. And that's why I didn't want to leave him. He got as close to that as he could. So if it means a few calluses and a sore back, can't be any worse than barrels up and down hills.
I have known a few heroes in my time, and I have seen the kind of people that would wield me in a way that would make for wonderful stories. In my experience, those individuals were not the ones who lived longest to tell tales. This despair that you feel, just understand that this is exactly what she wants. The Dark Witch is sowing despair ahead of you to cause you to lose faith. This is all her doing. She is trying to convince you and your friends to turn away. And she will push you further. It's good to see that the sacrifices that are made by heroes, though they may go untold or unsung, but there are still some who are willing to do the hard work on their behalf and in their name. I chose well, Dane. I have no doubt of that. My faith is strong.
If I've learned anything about the people, my family that I travel with, and perhaps myself, you can only push us so far. And then we start to push back. And it is generally hell for people that we push back against.
And that is exactly what she's not ready for. It is precisely what I am counting on.
Well, unless you are also a very good shovel. Calluses aside, I have 3 holes to dig, so, if you can, if you see, another one of those undead things sneaking up on me, give a little whistle or something.
You kind of turn around and you see that the washing woman is gone. However, you watch as water from this duck pond kind of seeps through the grass, kind of under your feet and to the ground where you're trying to dig these holes, wetting and softening the soil, causing it to be easier to dig up.
Wow. That's a start. And so I'm going to dig all 3 of these graves. And then I guess we can place our people inside of them.
I imagine Sir John will probably help you, saying something about how the exercise is good.
Not long after you have the conversation with the washing woman, Eddard is coming down with the corpse of Reba.
I'd say watch your feet. It's a little muddy, but seeing as how we're covered in dead people. But you can lay her in this one.
Eddard lays her down in whichever hole is probably smaller.
I guess once the holes are dug, unless someone else has brought the other bodies, I'll go upstairs or back into the apartments. And
Ford would have definitely been like shortly behind Eddard.
Yeah, it takes, a few hours to dig the holes and move the bodies.
Yeah.
But it's not difficult to do, other than the way it might weigh on you. Um, the city's empty aside from that, so it's quiet and calm. There is a lingering stench that kind of prevails outside, but other than that, it might almost be considered serene here in this garden. Before long, you have finished, and there's not very many hours left before the sun's going to be up. Is the plan to try to stay here this evening somewhere in the keep? Or do you wish to try to leave the city tonight?
I think I'd prefer to leave. I don't really want to be around all these dead bodies.
Yes, dissipated curse or not, I think it's best we head out. So I would like to say a few words, if you wouldn't mind. And Eddard approaches the center grave, probably left for the Lady Crowhar, the elder. Crowhar, a proud and honorable family in Warrenton. Surely you all deserved a much cleaner end. You deserve better than what was left to you. And Eddard you kind of get this look on his face. He hasn't really shown a whole lot of malice, like outright. He kind of looks angry. That rat virus left you and the other families to rot here in Warrenton, while he scurried away with his carts and his wagons and his council, leaving behind everything, the most important artifact, and even more important, the very souls of everyone belonging to Warrenton. You deserved better, I deserved better, and we all deserved better. And we will get it, by any means. May your passage be safe into the unknown. And he just kind of kneels in front of the first grave and takes a moment.
So once you have interred these three individuals, you're able to gather your things. To some degree, you're able to resupply here. There's not a lot in the way of foodstuffs that would probably still be good, but you could probably find, a decent enough amount of, dried meats and breads and things of that nature that had not yet turned, to at least bolster your rations and things before leaving the city. After you make your way out of the keep, having to pick your way through, again, waves of these bodies that had poured in through the portcullis and the gate. You make your way through the rest of the city proper of Warrenton, and eventually are able to exit from the front gates, really, without any trouble whatsoever. Before long, you are back out on the not well-traveled road that heads north into the Umberwood, headed towards Gendon's Wall. Do you plan on trying to walk through the night? Do you want to try to find a place to camp and get a rest for a little while?
I think we
What's
could all
the
use a rest
idea?
after that.
Just put some distance between us and the city.
Agreed.
Okay. So you walk on for another, hour, maybe two or so. As long as you stick to the road, even though it's fairly worn and not well kept up with, it's easy to follow, especially in the moonlight and starlight. It's easy to see where the soil pokes through. So you travel on for a little while longer before you feel like you've reached a comfortable distance outside of the city gates. And then you kind of, peel off the road, kind of duck into the trees a little bit, and are able to set up camp. When you bed down and kind of settle, you realize that it's the first night in a while where you haven't heard that strange rhythmic swelling of the animal noises and then kind of dies back down. There are animal noises. They're not there's not a ton of them. There would be, a noticeable lack of most, but you do hear them, and it's much more erratic and natural sounding now. And you feel very what's the word? Isolated. Almost like you're completely alone in these woods. Is there anything that you wish to do at camp that night? You plan on sleeping in the morning to get your full 8?
I don't see why not, unless everybody else is in a rush. I'm sure we need it.
I think after that, it's like, let's take a day to ourselves. Coop.
Do we know if there are any inns on the way towards Gendon's Wall between Warrenton and the Wall?
Not going to another inn, because last time we went to an inn north of the city, I seem to remember we were finding ourselves in a bit of a hot spot.
And we could always go back there.
It has to be under new management.
Maybe abandoned.
Could really vent some old stress.
If not, I was just going to ask, are we anywhere close to a stream or a river or any sort of body of fresh water nearby? Because Edward wants to wash.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you could certainly find something like that, especially probably, with Dane's help, his, affinity for finding waterways. Yeah, exactly. The divining rod that is Dane. Yeah. So yeah, you can find some kind of small creek, a brook of some kind that has moving water, so that you can certainly wash yourselves off.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Edward's first order of business.
Yeah, it's probably the kind of thing where you're having to find some kind of sand or plants or something, moss, to be able to actually scrub. This stuff has been layered and caked. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to settle in, and like I said, it's going to be a very quiet night. You're not going to be interrupted by anything, and you'll be able to get a full long rest.
I've heard that before.
So, for those of you who had leveled, if you have not already taken into account the things that you get back on a long rest, such as new hit points and things like that, you may now do so. Okay. So you wake up the next morning. It's probably closer to mid-morning by the time that you wake up. You know, probably going on 9 o'clock or so. Kind of take your time breaking down camp, getting ready to head back out. What is the plan? You headed straight for Gendon's Wall?
We did have an objective. Tord says, looking at Ari.
Ari's looking anywhere but back at Tord.
What did we need to get from the elves again? Friendship.
That was the secret all along. Wood given freely by a wounded friend.
There's got to be an inn. We can work the cord a little bit. I don't know.
How far are we from Gendon's Wall from outside of Warrington? A couple days travel.
Yeah, on horseback, which I think you guys are on horseback, right?
Maybe.
I think you're on
I don't think
horseback.
Eddard's on horseback anymore.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Okay.
I don't know if I don't think he ever stopped in town and got another horse.
I don't think that you've come across a place to replenish that yet.
Yeah.
Or
Between where we were and Warrington.
because you guys did not go back to the capital.
We
You guys
sure
cut,
didn't.
y'all bushwhacked straight from Dane's fertile ground town all the way up to here. That's right. Okay. So, you know, the going is not super fast because, you know, Eddard is having to go on foot. So, yeah, probably close to like 2 days of travel. You know, it's probably a full day's travel to get to the Nefarious Inn that you have stayed in once before and left a 1-star Yelp review.
Do you look home?
Is that where you would like to return to?
Well, does it look occupied? Does it look cold and desolate?
Are you?
One way
Is
to
that where
find
you're
out.
No, we haven't gotten there yet. That's sorry,
Nope.
my mistake.
You're good.
I would rather not go there again. But that's just me.
What is it that Mos Def says? I had a bad experience. Okay. So, bypassing the inn, it was called the Blessing and the Pearl or something like that. Is that what it was?
Yeah, in the stove.
The Hot Pockets. So bypassing the inn and turning more direct towards Gendon's Wall, you walk for the day without a lot of... actually. As the afternoon carries on, I'm not going to play. Ahead of you, you have been seeing a few refugees scattered along the road here and there, where they've kind of set up semi-permanent camps, apparently deciding that they were far enough out away from the city. Some of them seem worse for wear, but they eventually begin to increase in number as you get a little further north. And eventually you see that there's a lot of them that are gathered outside of a strange hut. Oh, that's the woods. I was supposed to show you that. Look, it's the woods. You spot a strange hut that you swear you have seen before. And outside of this strange hut, there is a white cat that walks along the garden wall, kind of watching you curiously.
I just walk towards it. Like right up towards the cat and pet it unless it runs.
It makes its way straight over to you and kind of sits down on the top of the garden wall and just kind of lets you pet it. Purrs quietly.
Well, I guess it's nice to be here again. But I imagine that this comes with tidings of something.
Ari, what was the one thing that the one pleasant smell in Warrington, in Barnaby's, that made it bearable, that kind of overpowered the smell of the humans that was so bothersome? What was it that Barnaby made or served that you're now smelling?
There was a mead that he produced. Not so much like a floral scent, it was more of like a herbaceous smell to it, and it had kind of like these earthy notes as well. They reminded her of home, really, and that was one of the reasons why she would actually partake and spend her time at Barnaby's, is because it was the one place that was familiar, smelled familiar at least.
So, what is Ari's reaction as you're now smelling that again after these many months?
She lets out a sigh, like this most like a longing sigh. The fact that she didn't realize how much she missed home and how much she missed of life before everything that's happened. And her eyes would have closed and she'd just be inhaling deeply at this moment. Probably not doing too much else, but just smelling and eyes closed, and there's probably like this half smile on her face.
The rest of you just stand by while Dane pets this cat and Ari smiles in a creepy way.
I was trying so hard to find Eddard's questionnaire because the name of the drink is on the questionnaire.
Oh, okay.
But I can't remember what it was.
I'll see if I can find it.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, if Ari smells it, I'm pretty sure Eddard smells it too. But yeah, I mean, at this point, any sort of comfort is welcome. And if there's any sort of like any hope at all that anyone from Warrington made it at all. This is like kind of one of those things. So he just kind of heads to the cottage. Thank you, Tord. I thought that's what it was.
Okay. Yeah, I just found it. The Sand King's Cask from Over the Dragon Sea. Yeah, Eddard, you smell it as well. All of you smell this. It just may not have quite the same familiar aromas as it does for some of you.
It smells pretty good. What is that?
That is the best thing you could have found in Warrington.
It smells a little sweet.
Oh, so delicious. Heather, do you remember? It seems like
Ages
decades
ago.
ago.
Yeah, he's already moving towards the but no, he's definitely engaging with you. It's just like he's stuck for a moment. But yeah, Tord, if there's any in there, you got to try some of this. I promise it's worth it.
Oh my dear. Oh, I smell something delicious cooking on the fire. I think smelling like a more savory dish of some sort being cooked, Tord would like bypass the fence and go and knock on the door.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of push open the small little wooden gate. And again, this place is very familiar. You've been here before, without a doubt. Although, you don't remember stopping here on your way out of Warrington. Specifically, if you ended up at the Blessing and the Pearl, or whatever it was called, and you're not headed that direction now, then you're almost positive that you didn't come this way. So it's strange in its familiarity. It feels like it shouldn't be familiar, but it is.
Can I cast Detect Magic, please?
Yes, absolutely. So you cast your spell, Eddard, and you see a line of magic. This arcane channel, if you will, just an inch or so thick, but it runs perfectly along the outside of the garden wall, like hugging each and every stone's contours all the way around the garden wall in both directions, and it cuts across the fence line and a small section of the path that kind of comes out of that gate, which you realize that beyond where that magic kind of highlights that dirt path, it very quickly deteriorates into just wild grass.
Eddard's searching his memory, but so much has happened. Huts and inns and buildings, and God knows which one this is and where we encountered it and whose was it. And all we know for sure is this is definitely not supposed to be at this spot.
Tord's gonna go inside.
Oh, you knocked. Did anybody answer?
Yeah, so walking kind of through the little pathway up between the garden wall and the house, You see all manner of herbs and flowers and everything kind of being grown here in this garden. You walk right up to the front steps and knock on the door toward, and as you do so, the door kind of opens kind of its own volition under your fist, and the smells of the roasted meat and this sweet mead kind of waft out to greet you.
Jeremy, is this the feeling like this hut? Oh, is it similar to like the White Witch's hut that we encountered near my hometown?
It is.
That's exactly what Dane was banking on. Okay. Well, come on. She's never heard us yet.
Dane, you walk in just behind toward Sir John is somewhere in the mix. Eddard, Ari, are the two of you also going inside?
Oh hell yeah,
Oh yeah. Mhm.
absolutely.
Okay. As you all enter, you find hidden herbs and poultices being constructed here and there, mortars and pestles, filled with all kinds of ground powders of whatever. Many vials of glass and ceramic, wood, kind of lining shelves and things. It smells wonderful in here. It is very warm and inviting. All of the furniture, again, you've seen most of this. It's hand carved out of wood, and as you enter, there's a stooped figure near the hearth, leaning forward over a cauldron. That is, I guess it wouldn't be a cauldron. I described it as roasted meat. There is a spit that has 3 pheasants on it that are glistening with what looks like butter, and are being slowly turned by this little old woman who's standing next to the hearth. And as you come in, she says, "Well, I thought that you might not come. Please come in and take a seat. Make yourselves comfortable."
Gosh, what you're cooking smells really great.
Oh, quite delicious, I assure you. This should be done just about now. I hope you've brought in your appetites.
Boy, have I.
It's quite the spell you have there.
Hmm? Oh, no, these pheasants are very, very real.
But this, and he kind of looks around at the hut. How did you do it?
Oh,
I've never seen anything like this.
pish, 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 she says kind of like dismissively, as she kind of like reaches in and grabs a hold of this spit, this steel that has been sitting roasting over this fire with her bare hands, without flinching. And she kind of turns and moves over to a side, kind of table that has like a carving board on it. She kind of pulls these pheasants off onto this cutting board. The cask of Sand King is over here on the table. Please help yourselves. She kind of indicates where there's a cask. And Eddard and Ariana, you can see that it is branded with the same logo, the same maker's mark, if you will, on the end of the wood of the barrel. It already has like the bung that has been tapped in, and it's ready to go.
Yeah, Eddard's already walking over. He's got 5 glasses.
Anybody who's paying attention, the old woman kind of works on these birds, but She turns around and they're carved up, but you don't see any knives anywhere. She brings them over to the center of the table. Kind of sets this carving board kind of in the middle. She kind of makes her way around, grabbing a few other, dishes here and there, some sides. Good. Here. This is enough chairs for everyone, please. No, Sir John, you leave the halberd by the door, please.
Ori, please grab me a glass as well.
Eddar's already handing you one full.
Oh, my dear Ed. You did it right to the rim. I love it.
I promise, unless you've had this, you have never had anything quite like it. And he kind of like moves over to Ari and he gives you one also. And then he continues to pass one. He passes one to Dane, to Sir John.
So, thank you for the food and the drinks. I know what brings us this direction, but what brings you out here?
Very direct and to the point, as always. One of the things that I admire about you, Dane, is never a moment wasted.
Sorry.
No cause for apology. As I said, my boy, it's an endearing quality. I sometimes forget that for you humans, time is so much more precious. To answer your question, what has brought me here is you. Please eat while we speak. As you so succinctly pointed out, there is no time to waste. But soon you shall pass once again into the Umberwood and the holdings of Bane Shial. And in the deeper forests beyond, you will find the realms of elvenkind. Remember that you seek a gift from our friends to the north. But first, the bond must be mended. As I am certain Ariana has probably pointed out to you, the elves are not as trusting of the humans as they once were. The relationship that was forged by Mathuran long ago has been strained as of late. And the humans, in their, forgive me, but their short-sightedness, have neglected their friendship with the elves. Many of them are too young to remember the promises that were made, promises that may be forgotten, broken. There's much work that needs to be done to restore their faith in this new human kingdom that is being reforged. I simply wanted to remind you of your uniqueness, your place in all of this, lest you forget.
Right. And also gently remind us to not immediately take off the elves like we did last time.
Well, I'm certainly glad that you have brought that up and not me.
Well, I mean, I couldn't just let them kill her.
Those were the druids who stand between you and the elves. But you are not wrong in understanding that there is a relationship there as well. What the druids stand for, in many ways, so do the elves. The druids are a reflection, if you will, of the elven beliefs, the old ways. They are called in Vykaril. They are not wrong. Their ways of doing things certainly are much, much older than what is typically done in Vykaril, for better or worse.
Right. So, druids, and then the elves. And then kind of like stares at Ari across the table. I guess that will be interesting, complicated. Yep.
So Ori, what is your home like? Are like, do they wear funny hats, or like billowy shirts? Where are we going to? I know I've been to Baneshell, but I imagine this will push us farther than Baneshell's courtyard.
We never even got close last time. We were barely to the wall. And if you think that was weird, boy, we've got a thing coming for you. But as for the dress, there's nothing far out of the ordinary. I mean, there's people who wear hats, and there's people who don't wear hats, and there's people who wear dresses, and the people who wear pants. I mean, it's just like anywhere else. People will wear what they want. But I will say our clothing is much finer made. But upon that, even, you're not even going to see them unless they want you to see them.
We kind of have to see them if we're going to apologize. And
that is where the difficulty lies, because we've got to prove that we're worth seeing before they'll even see us. And we've got to prove that your intentions are true and that we're trying to do stuff, all without talking to them first. So
right. So just out of curiosity, and not to bring up like old wounds or anything, but the whole thing between you and them and him, and I kind of point at Edward, is that like all elves are going to be upset about that, or just a specific group?
Yeah. So probably not the best person here to probably be leading this little group, seeing as they'll be upset. But it will only be a few, unless stories gotten round. I don't really know, honestly, and I'm a little bit afraid. I mean, I think Baneshell will still be on our side. I mean, he's been around you folk enough to understand that you're complicated.
I on that note, the whole Bane Shield thing, and then maybe this is just me and my limited understanding of elves. I mean, the language easy, right? Like at least as far as like what speaking it. But the whole so anyway, I've been wondering since we met him and met you, and then you changed it. But at some point, your name had kind of a similar sound to his. Are you guys related?
No.
Oh.
The best I can describe it, I mean, you have Sir Tord and Sir John and Sir Dane. Are you guys all related because you have the same name, Sir?
No, but you see, for us, it comes at the front of our name.
So if you were Dane, Sir, and John, Sir, I mean, same difference there.
Well, no, because if I was Dane, Sir, and he was John, Sir, then there would be a good chance we were related because that'd be our last names.
Okay, so this is where you humans get so complicated about things. It doesn't have to be at the first or the back. It just is Benchiel, and it was, but no longer. I'm just Ariana.
So
and then there's
you're Sir, well, Lady Ariana, and he's Sir Bane.
How do you describe? We don't do that.
But it's a title.
It's more of a job, really. It's kind of a title. It's.
So you had the same job that he has.
Well, no. Well, we worked kind of together. We were both part of the same group. I mean, it's so complicated to try and tell you.
He's part of the same group.
Yeah.
So he will be upset about the whole. So we don't even have Sir Bane on our side anymore. I'm not trying to
no, it's.
I think I've done a pretty good job of not pressing and asking, and trust me, I've had a lot of questions to ask. In fairness, a lot of them got put to the side with all the dying, and then Tor dying, but I still have questions. I'm trying to be very respectful of it and not try and ask exactly what this whole ink pen quill thing meant, and Eddard and you and stealing it and killing him and the name. And so when you changed your name, did you just stop doing your job? Is that what? So if we run into anybody with a shield at the end of their name, they're going to try and take Eddard's quill? Or kill him? Or us?
Eddard doesn't have a quill no more.
It's all gone, and in truth, I wish they would have just asked for it because I would have given it to them willingly.
That's a completely different story, and not
is
really.
It, though?
It sort of is.
Well, completely and sort of are not the same thing.
I was fired. How about that? That's about the best way I can describe it.
Right, the whole owl pellet thing.
Yeah, they took it away from me.
Because you didn't get
they didn't trust me anymore.
So, and one of those people who is involved in that group has the shield and is, the shield house. And he's also one of the most powerful elves, and he's part of the same group that doesn't trust you anymore. And that's the same person you just said that we still have on our side. So,
but he wasn't part of that part of the same group.
So you can have that job in your job. All right, so wait a second. Not everyone's job was to get the...
I mean, you've been fighting other sirs all over the place.
This is true.
So if you want to think it that way, there's and she lapses into Elvish because it's really hard to try to explain in the human terms, and she says words like where is it here? You hear Eniel Rivan and all these other words that kind of sound like Shiel and all this stuff. And what she's trying to eventually, when she stops talking in Elvish, is so. I think the best I can describe it was I was part of a group that was, let's say, you have we don't have these things, but you have your kings and you have your queens and you have your lords and you have all these sorts of titles for, we don't even understand why, because I mean, people are people, but we have a group that are looking after other people. They are the ones that are protecting our homes. I was part of that group.
Okay.
Ben Shell is also part of that group. He does a different thing because he's part of the acting between the humans and the elves. And he's fallen more, he has to deal with you humans in your human cultures. So the Lord part. So he's a little bit different. And he's got his own things that he has to keep care of and protect. And that was different than what I was keeping care of and protecting when I was looking after Eddard. But
what exactly were you protecting by trying to take Eddard's quill?
And so on that, we are saying now that other people then had to take care of the Eddard business. And
right. So
yes. And so to answer your questions, maybe, is that it's also very complicated.
No. I get it. I get it. There's a social contract that exists in Elvendom that allows for protection of its people, and they have specialized jobs that exist within inside of it. And some of them are political, some for more military, and some are a little more espionage, sneak into groups and steal pens. I'm
a fighter.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed.
I've never detracted from that. But circling back to what were you protecting by trying to get a pen? Because I have been very curious, and this seems like the safest place we've had in a long time to discuss it. Now, if you just say, hey, that's off the table, and I can't know, I'll take it for now.
I'm in a lot of hot water, and I'm not sure how we're going to be met when we get there, and I am not privy to explaining the reasons why at this point.
But you're not even working for them anymore, so you don't actually have any guidelines outside of the ones...
Doesn't mean I want to betray them even further than I already have in their minds. And she just stares at you.
All right. Well, I mean, all right. I trust you. I love you. And when they throw down a gauntlet that says, here's the line, pick which side you stand on, I'll trust you to make the best informed decision that you can, since the rest of us won't be informed about it. That seems fair.
I think it's time for more meat.
Yes, as I say, good drink and good meat. Good grief.
Tor, do you need another one?
We'll start refilling drinks.
Yes, I'll take another. Not too many. They're sweet.
So, on to more pleasant topics of conversation. And I turn to the White Witch. Since the Witch of Pestilence is dead, is it likely the Bloodmouth Plague will go with her?
It's difficult to tell yet, but there's a good chance that it is going to die out. That it will run its course, perhaps. It was definitely driven by her magic, so without her magic to support and spread it, it should be much more manageable now.
That's good. I mean, it'll still be a while before anyone can return to Warrington, I suppose.
Yes, I fear that is the case. But at least the shield was recovered. She kind of like eyes Eddard.
Yes.
Well, there's no keeping anything from you now, is there? He kind of just chuckles.
She kind of enjoys a little bit of a laugh as well.
Yes, we recovered it from the keep.
Good, good. She kind of leans over and helps herself to something that's unfinished on like Sir John's plate. And he just kind of like pulls a, you know, like a pheasant's leg. This woman's eaten a lot since you have gotten here. She has quite an appetite.
Edward kind of looks at her inquisitively, not asking anything outright, but he's kind of like, "What are you?" she said. I mean, she mentioned that we were dealing with humans' business, and I was like, "Okay, so wait, you're not a human, you know?" But
She's definitely giving off that vibe.
Something else.
Something other. Yeah.
I think Dane is a little not angry but miffed at this whole conversation. And a little concerned, honestly. But stand up and like start looking at her herbs. Like I had studied with her a little bit the first time back with Sir John's dad. And I'm just sort of poking him and looking at him. And do you have any healing herbs? Some of us are still pretty hurt from Warrington, and if we could.
Yes, somewhere around here. She kind of like gets up from her chair, kind of shuffles across the room. She grabs kind of a large empty mortal and gives you a pestle, and she kind of thrusts it into like your arms. Here, and hold this. She kind of reaches up and kind of pulls down like a sprig of one thing, kind of smells at it for a second. Yes. And then she kind of like starts to strip some of the dried leaves off of it. She grabs a couple of other pieces that look like they might be like thin rolled up bark. Kind of tosses them in there after snapping them in half. And she kind of pauses and looks at you. Grind, please. Yes. You use your young elbows and wrists. And she kind of like shuffles over and grabs like a small like burlap sack off of a shelf and opens it, and you're pretty sure that whatever's in there is moving around. She pulls a couple of those out of there and drops them in the mortar, and you can see what looks like some form of like beetle. As you kind of work this mortar and pestle and grind it all down, it becomes like this really fine powder that's kind of this light grayish purple color. She then kind of moves over and puts a kettle on the stove to start boiling water. She goes through this entire process of creating these drafts, and eventually we'll pour them into like a tea mug or something for each one of you that wishes it, and you are able to imbibe this strange potion, this concoction that she has drawn up. Who all is partaking of this? Dane. Okay.
I'll have some.
Eddard. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think Ari would as well.
Make it around.
All right. Tord as well. I think this is probably the kind of thing that Sir John might turn his nose up at.
Especially when he saw like the beetles go into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He might kind of, no, please, I'm fine with the mead. Is fine.
The mead was enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So each one of you will be able to heal all of your wounds. So you will recover all of your hit points if you were still down any. Although I think you just long rested. So, as well, for the remainder of today, you will be under the effects of a bless spell. That adds a D4 to attacks and saving throws, I think. Let me check. Let's see what Bless does. D4. Yeah, attack roll or saving throw. Yep. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna take our break right now, I think. So, as things are wrapping up with the mouse cursor. Nope, the White Witch. Yeah, as you are wrapping things up here at her hut, and getting ready to head back out, we're going to go ahead and, like I said, take our break. So we're going to take 10 minutes, refill your drinks, go to the bathroom, kiss your spouse, smoke them if you got them, etc., etc. All of those wonderful, glorious things. Yeah, sit tight. We will be right back with the second half of what we have for tonight. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from the break. We are here with the second portion of this evening's antics session, episode, whatever you want to call it, thing. This is episode session 40, and is titled Old Wounds. This is by far the longest D&D campaign that I've ever run, so congratulations on that. Pretty closely, it will be the longest D&D campaign that I've ever been in, maybe? Question mark? I don't know. I play this game a lot. I don't know if anybody out there is aware. But, so, I'm really excited to be getting back into this story. I think we managed to play in December, but it still feels like it was a really, really long time ago. I don't know why that is. But, yeah, I'm really happy to be revisiting, checking in on where all of these characters are and what's going on in their little neck of the woods.
December 18th to January 30th.
Yeah, I was about to say it's more like
There
a
you
month
go.
and a half, I think, between.
Yeah.
That's why it feels like long.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay. So, we find the five of you once again, kind of on the cusp of entering the Umbrawood, nearing Gendon's Wall. Currently, you are at the strange hut that has materialized here, or what have you, has found its way on your path, and where you have been taking in the hospitality of the White Witch. She has fed you pheasant, has served you honeymead, and is now threatening you with a delicious-smelling dessert of some kind. The tension in the room has ebbed and flowed while you've been here. There is certainly, while you may be taking some respite from the series of events over the last several days, weeks, months, it does not seem like it is far from anyone's mind that there is likely more ahead of you. So, with that in mind, is there anything else that you would like to do, say, talk about while you're still in the presence of the White Witch, or are you ready to press on?
I think Eddard has one thing, maybe two things, but in the midst of conversation, he would kind of just press a little bit with the witch to determine when he's eating. He says, so, I never did ask. I'm sure you've been around to see many an era in this kingdom, and I can't help but wonder what happens if a shield house loses its shield forever. Like, what happens?
Are you trying to imply that I'm old?
No, of course not. Just wise.
Oh, yes. It makes very much sense that you are in politics. That's a wise answer. Yes. When a house loses its shield, it's usually quite a bit of turmoil. And the humans never are very keen to give up their gains, their titles, their lands, their wealth. Humans are very attached to the things that they feel they have earned, even if they may have strangled someone in order to get it. So there's a lot of clamor to see who will inherit the shield afterwards. There are times when might was right. The stronger house simply took it by force. Sometimes it was done through bloodlines. One house would marry someone into another house, and their descendants would die away, and it would have to be determined who would inherit the shield next. It's not always the same. But you are asking, I think, about the shield that you now carry, no? You now have designs of your own on how House Pindrake, I think, might be able to claim this shield.
Now that we talk, I can see why someone would construe my intentions as greedy. But the more I open my eyes to the situation in Warrington, the more I feel like the Baron failed his people and his land, and I don't think he deserves it back. Pardon me for being so bold.
I, for one, cannot disagree with you. But I would have to follow with the question of whether or not you feel like you and your house are worthy to inherit such a fine title. A responsibility, no less.
Well, I can't judge myself. Of course, I would feel that I were more worthy than he, but who better to judge than what remains of the folks of Warrington? I'm sure they all harbor some sort of distaste to him.
So then what is your intention with the shield you now carry? You intend to take it into the elven realms? But what then?
Well, after our business concludes, I intend to confront Ryrus of Warrington and to stake my own claim.
I see. It will be a battle of reputations, then, I suppose.
Reputation, honor, combat, whatever he would so choose. I will stand for the people of Warrington.
This kingdom is changing. It has been changing for some time, but I think, perhaps, the changes that are occurring now might be a better path forward for Vykaril and her people.
Her people seem to have never met a lord like me, or so they say. Somebody who walks with the commoners or gives to the needy or isn't concerned with their own wealth.
There have been those who have come before, who have been thus, and some of them have proven to hold such values, such virtues, until the grave. Others have corroded, much like the sword that young Dane carries at his side. But the question, Lord Eddard, is which of these two will you be?
My commitment to this lordship, to finding out what it is, my heritage is only as strong as my principle, and I will stand on that till death. I don't mean to darken the moon. He kind of looks around. Does anybody need any more drink?
Doesn't darken the mood, I don't think. I mean, we kind of all assumed what you were doing. It's the first time I've ever heard you openly claim to be a great lord. I'm not saying you're not. Just, I mean, you have us. You always have us, I would imagine.
Of course.
Just remember, your house is about this big.
Yes, I wonder how much survives of Warrington.
Well, plus political connections and
Allies.
yeah, but also, I don't know. You have to think about it kind of like in the terms of the old stories, right? If you do take up the shield, what plans do you have of heirs and who to leave it to? And like that becomes a concern, right? That becomes a focus. At some point, you have to step out of saving the world, and instead you have to run a business, for lack of better terms. But we'll help, I guess, as best I can. I will.
I'm glad I've been fostering that sort of relationship in Raisingflag. Sir Thomas has certainly done a fine job with the place. And
You can't have heirs with Sir Thomas. That won't work.
no. I'm only trying to welcome in as many people to my barony as I can that need the help. And it seems like he's doing a fine job at the moment while I'm away.
I mean, once we got past him wanting to, fight us, you seem like a very good guy.
Yes, heirs and political and lordships, it's all so far down the road.
Well, not too far down the road, as Dane so succinctly pointed out earlier. Human life is short and fleeting.
That is true.
And as far as what you said earlier, Eddard, about the people disliking him, that may not be the case necessarily. There's a difference between how you grew up and how I grew up. You see, when you come from the places I come from, like most of the people in Warrington, when you step in a pile of crap on the road, you don't stop to wonder who put it there. You just accept it as part of having to walk. We don't have the luxury to care about whose crap it was. So the people who fled, none of the ones who live are going to know that someone came back for them. They're just going to know that something bad happened. Everyone left, and well, their lord left with them.
And without his namesake?
It
It holds a significant amount of merit to
does.
him and to everyone.
I'm not saying that there's not evidence. I'm just maybe this isn't the thing that we get a parade thrown over.
We haven't had any parades yet, so
There was pretty close to a parade back in towards hometown. Like that was I would call that pretty much a parade.
What would deem someone worthy or not to inherit this shield? Truly inherit this shield. You will not be found in parades or the mind of the common person. What's going to deem whether or not you are worthy to inherit this shield is how you view yourself, Lord Pendrake. I'm not talking about the words that you may use to describe yourself to me, or how you may tell of your deeds whenever you tell your songs or tales, but how you truly feel about yourself and what you have done Well, I am starving. She kind of gets up and moves over to where this dessert is and fixes herself a second portion.
Do you think we could take some of the, I don't know what the dessert is, but I'll say pie, with us?
Oh, certainly, yes. There's some. Where did I put that? In the back room. You'll have to move the basket of. Maybe I'll just get it. She kind of shuffles off in that direction. You can hear like banging and shuffling of things. And she comes back with like a roll of like muslin cloth. She kind of lays down and again, with her back turned to the room, she cuts a section of this, but you see no knives or scissors or anything of that sort. But she turns around with this square of muslin and she'll wrap up, several portions of this dessert before handing it to Dane. There you are.
Thank you. I guess at some point we should get back on the not road.
Might as well. I don't know why we would hesitate to want to go out to where always from. I'm being sarcastic.
Yep. Got that.
All right.
So, any advice specifically on who we should talk to when we get there?
White Witch kind of looks at Ari. I think that is something you will have to discover.
Much like last time, thank you for the hospitality and information and reminder.
We will meet again, I'm sure of it.
Do you know any place between here and there we can get Eddard a horse?
Well, from my understanding, it's not very far to the Crowahall estate. Just a little further in the direction you're headed.
Oh, that's perfect. I have a ring I need to return anyway.
Well, I wish you nothing but luck on this leg of your journey. And I certainly do mean it when I say that our hopes rest upon you. No pressures, no pressures. She kind of like pats you on the back. You get the feeling that she's kind of ushering you towards the door.
Yeah.
In a polite way.
Right then. I guess off to the Krawahara estate.
Before we left, Eddard filled one of his water skins with some of the mead.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We could just take the cask with us. It'll fit on the back of my horse.
I got the feeling it was bigger than that.
Oh, I thought it was one of the table-sized casks.
Yeah, I mean it's a medium size.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's hopefully with Tord's help, we'll just take it outside and lash it onto one of the horses.
I don't think this is going to last beyond the wall.
Oh,
Probably not, but in fairness, you and Ari have never been so quiet or smiled so much when there wasn't something else afoot. So,
Reminds me of home and an old friend. That's all. Eddard turns to the White Witch and he bows his head. Thank you for all of your wisdom. Your words hold much weight in my mind. I do look forward to our next meeting.
As do I. It's been a pleasure to see how all of you have grown so much already. Even you. She looks at Ari.
I think Arla just looks to the ground at this point, not feeling in the highest of moods at this point. So.
Well, I truly must insist. I'm an old woman and I need my rest.
yes, yeah. So, mount up and head towards Krawahar.
All right. You mount back up, those of you who have mounts, and you continue to head northward. It's not very long. You may be gone 10 minutes or so, and there's kind of a flash to the south of you, almost like a strike of lightning, though it is midday. And kind of when you kind of turn and look back that way, you see a large winged shadow pass over. Ahead of you, you can start to kind of tell that you're on, someone's private property. Some of the underbrush has been cleared out a little more here and there. You, before long, are able to see in the distance a very well-appointed house, several stories tall. The landscaping and such around it is, at one time, probably would have been very nice, but has definitely been overgrown as of late. And there is smoke that is rising from one of the chimneys of the roof. Who's doing this? What? Buttons. So yes, that's what you see. And ahead of you, you assume that this must be the Krawahar estate.
I don't know why I wasn't expecting anyone to be home.
I imagine she has servants and such.
Perhaps. Well,
Right. Let's go see about returning a ring and borrowing a horse.
indeed. Eddard will approach the house and rap upon the door.
You knock at the door, and for a long time there is no answer. After some time, there's a voice at the door. The voice is a female's voice, and she says, "We're not taking any refugees. Turn around. Head back where you came from."
Edward kind of looks at Dane, and he looks back to the door. No refugees, just travelers passing through. Was hoping to borrow a horse if you had a spare.
You hear again this kind of lengthy pause. Then you hear a voice again. We're not interested. Move along.
I look towards Eddard. Maybe a bit more direct then.
Should we rip off the bandage now or later?
We come with news of the lady and Sir Merrick.
You hear a kind of muffled sound. Actually, yeah, let's do this. Let's do everybody roll perception checks, please, to see if you do hear. All right. Okay. Dane, you hear a muffled response when you say that of who? And then after a while, no, the person's not here. No one here by that name.
Right then. Well, guess we'll just take their belongings elsewhere.
Edward looks at Dane and nods.
Who should I say refused us when we let them know?
There's again a long pause. And you notice several of the windows kind of along the front that are kind of nearest to the front door. The internal shutters are closed.
Well, look, I don't know who's in there or what you're playing at, but I imagine that you don't belong here. And if I wasn't so busy, we weren't so busy, the five of us out here with swords, weren't so busy, we would care. But the lady is dead. She's been buried. We don't much care about the house, but we do need a horse.
And who are you?
Well, my name is Dane. The other people out here with me are Sir Tord, Sir John Lightnor, Lord Pendrake, and Ari. No last name, no title.
At some point while you're reading off these introductions, you hear a crash from inside. And after you finish, there's a long moment of no response again before you hear the latch and lock be released on the inside of the door. No one opens it, however.
All right.
Eddard opens it. I was beginning to think you would never let us in.
You open the door, Eddard, and inside you find a decently well... Oops. Yep. That's not right. Decently well-appointed interior. Who, honestly, who's running this show? A decently well-appointed interior. This place looks like it might not be a primary residence, maybe. More kind of like a country house or like a hunting lodge type place. The furnishings are a little more rudimentary, a little more simple. But you can see that someone has been staying here. You know, there are lit candles kind of around. There's fires built in a couple of the fireplaces. You know, furniture has been rearranged for, you know, comfort. And in one of the rooms, the room that you just saw with the fireplace going, you see a half-elven man. The picture I showed a moment ago. He is dressed in the livery of House Warrington. He does have a sword. He looks a little perturbed, but he is standing near the fireplace, and he says, "If you want to purchase a horse, just leave the money on the table, right here. It'll be 150 gold pieces."
We paid for it when we cleared Warrington of the witch and the dead.
You paid for my property by doing a good deed.
I point at his like tabard. I'm sorry. Were you there helping?
I was north of Ginden's Wall whenever this all fell apart.
And
So if
proceeded
you're asking
south until
Hmm.
here.
Until I saw that the city was lost. And then, yes, I returned here. Anybody
Well,
that
good
wishes...
news.
Anybody that wishes, while we're having this discussion, you can make a perception roll, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, what were you saying, Josh?
I was just going to say, as he was saying the city was lost, Eddard kind of perks up and he says, well, the good news is maybe the city isn't lost after all, sir. And he kind of looks up and down at the armor and the tabard.
Langworth. So, Alium Langworth.
Oh.
And you would be?
Lord Eddard Bainton Pendrick, originally of Warrington, now the Baron of Riz and Fled.
You are a baron?
Yes. Is there something wrong with that?
Oh, no. No, I just, trying to steal a horse as a baron seems a little out of character.
Well, again, like my friend here was saying, I don't take it that we're stealing anything. Surely, after enough time had passed, they would have gotten you here too.
Yes. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with what's going on in the chat. Yes. They, when the city was lost, I didn't see any harm in taking shelter here. The lady of the house, as you said, is dead.
Not only the lady, but her daughter, her
She
husband.
she wasn't at the time though. So you're just a squatter.
Langworth, you said.
Yes, Langworth. You've heard of me, no doubt.
Eddard kind of see the picture where he's got his hand on his chin. He's got that little shit-eating smirk on his face.
Mhm.
Your sister. If it weren't for me and my companions here, she would have died in the forest. I do believe she and you owe me this one novelty, right? This horse.
So everyone that made their perception rolls here. Ari and Tord, both of you noticed that in a few places of this room, kind of off to the side near one of the chairs, you see a bowl with warm water and several old bloody bandages. Signs that would indicate that there was a wound that had been treated. But this individual, at least not anywhere that you can currently see, he does not appear to show any signs of injury. Ari,
I'd like, yeah.
with your roll, the same roll that you made, you can see that whenever Eddard has mentioned this sister, this night has grown very tense.
I would like to, I guess we're gonna start wandering around the house. We're gonna see how he's gonna take it as I'm gonna leave the room and I'm going to try to investigate further into the house.
He kind of takes a step forward and holds up his hand. Wait, there's no reason to go into the rest of the house. 125 for the horse. It's fine.
Does he like touch her?
No.
Okay.
But you continue?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Then he will follow, at the very least. He's going to follow to the door. You can have the horse for 100. Fine. But you need to leave, please. Immediately.
Twice, actually, I saved her life. One at the hands of the druids in the forest beyond the wall, and another at the hands of a knight in a duel.
He whirls on you, Eddard, like dangerously, and reaches for the hilt of his sword.
Can I use my reaction to cast Whole Person?
Sure.
I have Warcaster as a feature.
Do you have a point of inspiration?
Yeah.
Throw that on there and I'll let you do it.
Okay, perfect. I will cast it at 5th level.
Oh, okay. What do you need from me?
Let's see. It's a wisdom save of 17.
Wisdom save of 17. Okay, let's see. He has... Ooh. Not with that, though. Okay. He reaches up for the hilt of his sword and basically wraps the leather fingers of his gloves around it, and before he can even make the motion to begin pulling it from its scabbard, he arrests in place, your magic taking effect.
Yeah, Eddard kind of locks eyes with him. Well, he locks his eye with Eddard's good eye. What are you hiding here? If I wanted to take the horse, I could have. Instead, we approached this dwelling under the assumption that maybe there were some relatives or some servants of the Baroness Crowhar. And yet we find you. What are you hiding here? What's there to be afraid of?
Sister. And she's gonna Ari's gonna go through the door, continue into the house now that he can't stop her.
Where are you headed, Ari?
I'm headed to where there is potentially a room, like a bedroom area. If I was hiding a person that's injured, that's where I would be putting them.
So you begin to head upstairs, and just as you kind of round the bottom of the stairs and begin to kind of like head up, the door that you kind of just walk past bursts open, and a half-elven woman emerges. This individual, all of you have seen before, though it has certainly been some time. She bursts forth and, brandishing 2 short swords, is going to close with who was it? Was Sir John. It was Sir John. Okay. She pushes past whoever it was that was basically following Ari, if anybody was, and heads straight for Sir John, screaming at him, "I'm going to finish what I started!" And she is going to try her best to begin hacking him down. So, all of you, please roll for initiative. Okay, what do we got? Ooh, okay. Dane and Tord, both of you roll a d6 for me, if you would, please. Dane got a 4. What'd you get, Tord? 1. Okay. So Dane's gonna go just before. Alright, yes. Don't forget the bless that you have. Thank you. Feels bad attacking Sir John because he's not here.
He'll just fight defensively and change his AC to 24.
That's true. Okay. First up is Eddard. Quick Draw McGraw.
She's trying to get to to Sir John.
Sir John, yeah, it's very clear.
You tell me if I can do this. That was my 5th level spell slot, but I still have 3 4th level spell slots. I want to cast Hold Person again at 4th level. For every level above 2nd, you can target an additional human.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so, I don't see why you can't cast the same spell. It's not
I'm trying to catch her too. So that's another Wisdom 17, and I'll mark it down as cast.
Okay. 17.
Yeah.
She failed as well. So she raises both of her swords and charges across the floor towards Sir John, who is caught somewhat unaware. You know, he's kind of been engaging with this other knight, I would imagine, in some fashion, and has only kind of just turned around as she has like come screaming out of this side room, raises both of these blades up, and then the effects of Eddard's spell takes hold of her, quite literally, and she likewise arrests her motion and kind of just comes to a stop, standing with the swords above her head.
Calm down, you fool. Saved twice before, and again, you dare to, you risk your life in this. I don't understand. Over a horse, over this home, is it worth it?
I don't think either of them can respond.
Well, I've got them both. Could I? Yeah, I guess. Tord, some rope, please, if you would.
Absolutely. Let me just get their hands.
Yeah, I think that's my turn. I can't really do much else, but I'll say over to Tord that I state my intentions are clear. I want to get these guys tied up.
Yep. So Tord, Dane, and Ari all get to go before they have a chance to act. So I would imagine that is plenty of time, action economy, what have you, to get them tied up, if that's the unified decision here.
I mean, that's what I would like to do, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so, yeah, without any effort, much, you manage to grab the two of them and tie them to, you know, a couple of chairs or what have you, and incapacitate them.
As soon as all that's done, Eric kind of shuts his eye and droops a little bit as he lets go of the spell.
She is livid, just absolutely furious, struggling against the bonds, thrashing around as much as she's able to within the ropes, and just spitting and just baring her teeth, and she's just absolutely beside herself.
She obviously wounded anywhere.
Yeah, most of them look like they have, you know, healed decently well, given the time, without magic, that is. But you can still see, you know, scars and bruising and things.
Gotcha.
Every last one of you. I'm going to kill every last one of you. You just let me out of here.
Why?
I don't want to kill you, and if I had, I could have. Thrice. I should have let the druids take you then, but I didn't. I should have let my friend take you in the duel, but I didn't. And why? To give you this new lease on life. And for what? What do you have against me?
You murdered and ran from Warrington. I was charged with bringing you back. And because I was out hunting you down, I lost everything. The brother kind of makes a noise beside her, and she kind of catches herself. Almost everything. This is your fault. You, all of you, brought this down on all of us. Saving a witch. Aren't you so proud of yourselves? Now look what you did. You let this happen.
Do you even see beyond the tip of your lord's nose? Your lord is living lavish in the capital, while your town, your homeland, is overrun with this blood-mouth plague. And that is who you fight for.
I am doing as I was told. I was given a task. That's the job of a knight.
Trust me, I know very well what the job of a knight is.
Is that so? The son of a librarian.
That is
Please
so.
enlighten me.
Sir Tord, even my most trusted knight wouldn't follow my lead if I had gone off the deep end. That's called seeing past your lord's nose.
Fortunately, he's pretty rational in his thinking most of the time.
You seek to put an end to me and my companions, and I saved your life, not once, but twice. And here, I could end it again, and again, and again, and yet I don't.
Then end it, she says, with like an air of like pleading under the anger.
Eddard has his scimitar sheathed behind his cloak. And I think he kind of retreats his hand, or his two hands behind his cloak. And he draws a Faladar and puts it to the neck of Alora.
She extends her neck, almost to give you a clean target.
So bold.
Her brother, on the other hand, now he becomes the animated one. No, wait, there's no reason for this. She doesn't understand what she's saying.
As a baron, I seek to give her a place of refuge. You a place of refuge. Anyone who needs it, a place of refuge. Not because I am a lord, but because I am a person, a human, with morals. Why must you make this difficult for me? Anyone around could probably see that Eddard is like losing his patience, which is really not characteristic of him.
Eddard, what choice are you giving her? You have a sword to her throat. Remember that whole thing about being the lord that can lead, one who's worthy of a shield? How many of them held swords to the throats of women tied to chairs?
She looks up at you, Eddard, narrowing her eyes. Do it.
Why are you so eager to die?
She failed her lord. The only thing that matters to her.
Her lord failed her. Why must you die for his failure? And she's looking at the woman tied up.
Look around you. Do you not see? Everything is gone.
Not everything. Do you not see? Your brother sits right there. There are things still left to do. There are things still left to care for and to work for and to try to correct. You're giving in because life got hard.
We've all been there.
We've all lost.
We've all almost given up. All of us. Given up family.
Lost children.
Names.
Homes.
Lives.
Those we care for.
Ourselves.
But we go on. We continue to try to correct things and make them better.
And not always because we want to.
So I ask you again, why are you so eager to die?
Her eyes are filled with tears that now begin to stream down her face. She closes them tightly and shakes her head. And she looks up at you, Eddard. And as she says the words, a different pair of eyes flash
Oh, shit.
I hate that.
in front of you. She says, "Please, I beg you." I can't do this anymore.
Eddard withdraws a fallow arm and he sheaths it across his back. And he narrows his good eye at the lady Laura. Do you remember what I told you those months ago when we let you run free? We do what we must, not because it is what we want to do, but it is what we must do. For the sake of ourselves, for the sake of our families, for the sake of this kingdom, we do what we must. You have much more to do, I can tell.
She collapses against the ropes that are holding her and just falls into sobs. Somewhere in her sobs, she's still angry, balling her fists, screaming in this kind of rage of inability to do anything. The brother beside her kind of watches in a little bit of shock, and he turns to you and he says, "What would you have us do?"
I think that Eddard actually walks over and unsheathes Garfrin and cuts his bonds. You seem to be much more sound-minded at the moment. When she composes herself, why don't the two of you ride southwest to Raisenfeld?
Why to Raisenfield?
Well, if you're looking for something worth fighting for, my barony will give you a roof over your head, clothes on your back, food on your belly, drink in your stomach, whatever you need. This one, he looks at Alora. There's something about her.
You propose to take us under your banner? He asks kind of incredulously.
I kind of lean into Eddard a little bit. He's a knight. That takes a lot.
What is he fighting for right now?
Well, he did swear an oath. And there's a city full of dead people that's going to need to be cleaned out and helped, and all the displaced people that eventually are going to come back. And, you know, part of being a knight, part of the job is the people, not just the Lord. And he knows this. If he didn't, he'd have
Deserted a long time ago.
run off already.
Well, perhaps your resolve is stronger than I thought. And he looks at two of them. Still, if you should find yourself without a banner to fight for, Raisenfeld. Eddard turns his back and walks away.
He kind of eyes you with not really suspicion, but just curiosity, I suppose. Definitely not a proposition that he had expected.
Warrington's going to need help.
A lot of it.
The witch who was in... the one who caused all of this tragedy is dead. But her mess now needs to be cleaned up.
Soon.
Can you do that?
He kind of seems like his first response is going to be a retort. But then he kind of checks himself. And he nods. We'll be done.
If it's cool, Jeremy, I'd like to misuse a spell real quick.
It could be.
All
Let's
right,
hear it.
awesome. So his sister is still tied to the chair. Dane's going to kneel down in front of her and sort of gently, in the same way that he would his mother or his sister, put his hand, on her knee. It is very scary what we're going through. And you have every right to be distraught and afraid of what's happened, afraid of what you've done, afraid of what you haven't done, afraid of what's going to happen next. But you're a knight, and you have a job. You have a duty. And when you swore that oath, you swore it to a lord, but you swore it for the people. They are the ones that cheer you when you return home. They are the children with their sticks in the streets, pretending to be you and your brother. They're going to need you. So it's okay to be afraid. But you have to be able to conquer that fear and find a new point of determination. So what I'd like to do is cast heroism. And what heroism does is the creature is imbued with bravery. They are immune to fright for the duration of the spell. And she'll regain some temporary hit points. It's not the true intent of the spell, but what I'm attempting to do is use it to alleviate some of her aches. That warm feeling that I imagine comes with healing, that embracing feeling I imagine that comes with temporary hit points, and then the magical alleviation of the fear, and whether that fear is Eddard killing her or dying or whatever it is, at least for the next minute, that'll be alleviated. And that is actually coming from Dane's recent awakening to the fact that he is fey touched.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even really sound like that much of a stretch from, what the spell does, healing and instilling, a sense of bravery. So I'm totally okay with that. So she starts, as you're kind of talking, when you're describing, coming home to these cheers and the children emulating them with their play. You can see that a lot of that actually kind of rejuvenates the welling of the tears in her eyes initially. Oh, yeah, Josh dropped. But after the tendrils of your spell kind of start to take effect, she stops with her sobs and kind of straightens up a little. By the time that you finish speaking, she simply kind of looks at you, kind of sniffling, and she just kind of nods with a slight resolve.
Got it. So much in the same way that Eddard cut her brother's bindings, I'm going to take a risk here. I'm going to go ahead and cut hers. But I'm going to do it with my sword. And I am going to put every ounce of connection I have into this blade, or with this blade into it for a moment, so that she and I, for a moment, see it as what it truly is, and not Celestial, my rusty little sword. And I'm going to cut those bindings, make sure that she sees it for that brief second, and then resheath it. You see? Not all hope is lost.
She seems kind of at once confused and in awe as to why you have the king's sword. But the hope that springs eternal, if you will, from seeing this blade certainly puts her at ease more than it bothers her. When you finish speaking, she kind of just stares at the floor, but you can hear her say, "Thank you."
You can thank me next time we meet. Josh is on his way back right now, so everything you just did.
Oh, yep. Well, we're about to end anyways. This is pretty
figured.
much where we're going to stop. Yeah. So we'll let him slide back in here and then and then call it an evening. But yeah, she seems to have turned a corner with what you have said and the spell. You're able to cut her free without any problems. And they agree to let you take any of the horses that you need. They request that you leave, 2 of them for them to use. But they disclose that they're probably not going to stay here much longer. If there is work to do, then they're going to try to get started on it.
Well, you still need to be wary of the plague. It may not be all gone yet.
The brother will ask, are there precautions to be taken?
Don't get bit by anything. Outside the royal apartment, there's a duck pond. On its bank opposite the 3 fresh graves, it's very heavily endowed with reeds. When you collect the bodies, burn them there. Douse the fire each night with the water from the lake. Don't leave it burning unattended.
He kind of eyes you again with that same kind of curiosity that he just kind of looked at Eddard with. Okay. It will be done, I suppose.
And I'll hand him the signet ring for Karwar. The lady, her daughter, and Sir Merrick all lie buried next to that tree in that duck pond. I believe, and Lord Eddard believes, that they're the last of their lineage. So I'll trust you to make sure that this gets back to someone that it needs to be with.
He takes it. Thank you. Is it true? Did Lord Warrenden flee the city?
Like a kicked dog? Well, not even kicked. I don't think it got that far. Like a spoiled dog that was afraid it wasn't going to get its treat. He ran.
He bristles a little.
He was picked up and carried away by his servants.
Most likely.
He bristles a little at the disparaging remarks made against who is still his vassal, his lord. But he also, you can see that a dawning realization of who exactly the man that he has been serving might really be.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, the lady whose ring you now hold returned to Warrington, or stayed, to try and help as many people as she could.
Perhaps
That's why she lies buried and not the rest of them.
Perhaps she is the kind of leader that we need.
Anyone willing to take up this work that lies before all of us now is the kind of leader we need. Yourself, your sister, Lord Pendrake here, all included in that.
regardless of where you may stand as far as the judgment of Lord Warrington, I see no criminals here.
There's a small village to the south, a good distance, but it's called Fertile Ground. That's where I'm from. It's going to take more than just yourself to clean up Warrington. I won't say you'll find great soldiers there or fighters, but you'll find honest, hardworking people.
Should you need help, I can organize a caravan from Raisinflea. It may take a while for them to get there, but they will help you.
I imagine Sir John would say something to the effect of House Lighton would be willing to send what they could as well. Not too much, of course, still on the brink of a war and all.
Resources are stretched thin. He nods to each offer for aid, and he says, "Then the people of Warrington are in your debt. For whatever of us remains, I suppose."
Eddard looks at him. He shakes his head. You owe no debt to me, sir.
He says, I insist. I do. He says as he looks at his sister. Okay. So unless there's anything else to do with the twins here, then we're going to call it an evening. Came back just in time to wrap things up, Josh.
I'm so glad, man. I was so peeved.
Yeah, it happens, man. No worries. I saw your screen go black, but your square was still there. And I was like, oh, did he actually drop, or did something just go wrong with his camera? And then after a couple seconds,
restart the whole PC.
Yeah, after a couple seconds, the whole thing just you backed out. So I was like, must have been a bigger problem than I thought. But no worries. Shit happens. Okay. Yeah, this was awesome. Thank all of you very much. Next session, we're gonna get into the Umberwood and Ginden's Wall and druids and
all
kinds of stuff. Probably some Baneshiel, maybe. We'll see, I guess. Depends on where you decide to go. So yeah. Might have to start digging into some of Ari's backstory stuff a little bit deeper. Excited. Some of that's been a long time coming. So, this was great, y'all. Thank you so very much for coming along for the next chapter in the story. Very much looking forward to seeing the rest of kind of what unfolds. So yeah, I'm going to pass things over to my players once again so that they can give any parting words that they would like. Once again, touch on where you might be able to find them. And then we're going to call it an evening. So we're going to go in the same order as before. Yeah. And we're going to start with Baron.
Hey everyone, I'm Baron. I play Masaka Tord. As always, I'm just happy to be here. I don't really have a whole lot going on, but I make maps for the games that I run, and sometimes I make monsters or whatever. Just do something, I guess. That's all I got.
Well, as long as you're creating, and I think it is an intrinsic part of us as humans to create things. It's important for our souls. So I'm happy to hear that you're able to do so for your games. It's a very rewarding work. I'm here to tell you. All right, next up we have Karen.
Hello everyone. It was so fun to get back into this game. It really has felt like a long time. Like a month and a half is just too long. Cannot wait for our next session, which is right around the corner, actually. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah, no, this was great. This was there's some. I loved how we talked our way out of a fight. It was pretty awesome. I mean, it helps that, Eddard, the magic user that he is, just kind of, I'm done with this. Done. So that was pretty awesome. Cannot wait for the next session. It'll be great to have all of us back together and playing. So thanks, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely not how I expected that whole thing to turn out, but it was fun. It was a good turn of event. Again, this game is so awesome because it keeps you guessing. Even somebody in my position who introduces a lot of these elements and has an expectation for how some of it's going to go. The fact that I can still be surprised consistently is it's just amazing. It's what keeps me coming back to this hobby time and time and time again. So thank you for keeping me on my toes. We're gonna skip Josh so that he can do his at the end and hit Steve.
Don't hit me. That's not nice.
Bam.
So does anybody else really appreciate how, like, one, you had to have like a play along card the size of War and Peace to keep up with Jeremy's NPCs, and two, how was it you met like 4 years ago all of a sudden creep back in? Because all of us went, wait a second, that name, why familiar? What is this? Yeah. And she still wants to murder us 4 years later. Well, it's not been 4 years for her, but nonetheless. No, it's a lot of fun. I love playing with you guys. Like it's like my favorite thing, especially in a otherwise tending to be stressful world. But we all have that, right? It's nice to have these this moment of rebalancing, because we hit all those things and we come up with stressful situations in the game that were much easier to tackle and take care of than the ones in real lives. And just like making your bed in the morning, it gives you that feeling of doing something, right? Like you accomplish something, you tackled a problem, you got it solved. So that's always great, right? The world can beat you down, and Jeremy's games are going to beat you down, but then you're going to be able to beat it back. Because in real life, if we went around casting hold person on people tying up and holding knives to their throats, you get in trouble. Turns out. But no, I love it. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I am very, very thankful that it's understood that we're gonna hit some dark notes in a game like this, and that everybody genuinely seems comfortable with tackling those kinds of things. Like, again, lighthearted D&D, there's nothing wrong with it. I love playing, games that are a little more gonzo and stuff just as much as I love this kind of stuff. But getting to explore the darker side of our humanity and the unpleasantness of the world, and like you said, being able to do something about it, to enact change, usually for the better, is definitely a lot more my speed. So I'm very, very thankful that comes across, and that 4 years in, all of you are enjoying doing that. Even if it does mean dredging up characters from 4 years ago. But that made me super, super happy that at least one of you, if not all of you, recognized the other character with the same name. That was not what I was expecting, but it made me happy. Speaking of making me happy, last but certainly not least, we have Josh.
Yeah, so a couple of things about that. Yeah, as soon as you said the name Langsworth and I saw the picture, I was like, oh yeah. I just knew exactly what was about to happen. And Eddard has had some badass moments in the game. Not many, because he's kind of like a little nerdy, bookish guy. But I think this might have been his most badass moment yet, because I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, that's the same spell he used to hold her from fighting Sir John, and he got to do it to her brother and her again. Yeah, so that was sick. And also, I mean, like, if you really keep up with these characters, like Eddard has never met somebody who he's offered his lordship to, like his help, that did not want to accept it. And that was kind of a crack showing kind of moment, like Eddard kind of losing his composure a bit, because he's like, why won't you let me help you type thing. But so that was really neat and fun to role play out. So happy I have my angels on my shoulder there with Ari and Dane, because they were able to talk me out of that. But yeah, super cool. Not too much to promote other than I've been working on a lot of music, dungeon synth, fantasy type music. So I will be shooting some links to Jeremy, and hopefully next time we play, you guys will hear it in the session. Well, not during the session, but during like our breaks and pre-game and all that cool stuff. But stuff I've been working on really heavily. Hopefully by the next couple of months, I am working on a project where I'm writing a song for each character in this game, and I will be releasing it on SoundCloud. So that's been a labor of love for me, because I love all of you very much, and I also love music. So that's pretty much what I've been up to other than this. But yeah, can't wait to play with you guys again. I mean, not so long of a break between this session like it was last session. So happy that's on the horizon there. But anyway, great game as always. Love you guys. It was very enjoyable.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, man, I love you too, brother. Yeah, really happy that you were able to join us this time around. Sorry that we missed you, Eli, but we'll catch you next time with any luck. And yeah, this game holds a very special place in my heart. Part of that is because we've been playing it for so long, but more than that, it's really just kind of the tightly woven story that we've managed to tell so far with these characters. So yeah, and that's due in no small part to all of you as players. So yeah, I'm hugely thankful for that. But I think we're finally going to pull the plug on Baron and let him have some rest. I love all of you very much. I love this game. Remember out there, kindness is a free action. It doesn't cost you anything to be kind to someone, and the world needs a whole hell of a lot more kindness. So please go out there, be kind. So until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.